Okay, hello everybody, and thank you so much for being here today on our webinar with Veritec Solutions in the storage group on why you need value pricing. As a lot of you know who are in attendance for this webinar, value pricing has definitely been the talk of the self-storage industry for a few weeks now. Today, we are going to go ahead and do our panel on value pricing and kind of just give everybody a top-down perspective on what that looks like in terms of helping facility owners accelerate their business as well as increase ROI in the long run. I want to go ahead and introduce our presenters. Today I have with me Dr. Warren Lieberman. He is the president of Veritec Solutions. And Dr. Lieberman is going to be going into more detail about Veritec Solutions shortly here, so I will let him take that over when it's time. And today we also have Paul Bowers. He is our director of product management here at the Storage Group. Paul was the one in our team who led the engineering team for the creation of the product that was spearheaded from the 3D value pricing map with Veritec Solutions. And then myself, I'm the marketing manager here with the Storage Group, and I'm kind of just going to be conducting the webinar and going through questions on a later time. So today on this webinar, we are going to be discussing the true value of value pricing with the 3D value pricing map that the Storage Group has created, along with the implementation of the Veritec Solutions data that is implemented into that. We're also going to be discussing dynamic pricing rates, increasing revenue with value pricing, and then the benefits of value pricing as well. Before we get started, I want to just go over really quick about the Storage Group. We provide cutting-edge products that ensure a customer experience through technology, marketing, and consulting. We have also cultivated many firsts in the industry, along with the industry's first online rental tool, and we really pride ourselves in creating options for facility owners that create solution-driven tactics for them to really help assist in creating new business and helping them run their facilities efficiently in terms of online marketing. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Warren. He is going to discuss Veritec Solutions in a little bit more detail. Warren?
Lauren, thank you very much, and thank you for asking us to join you and participate in the webinar. I'm very excited about that. Veritec Solutions, just a little bit of high-level background. We have been focused on revenue management and pricing for approximately 20 years. Our work in self-storage began in the early 2000s, but we've been involved in the self-storage industry continuously since about 2010, 2011. About 4 or 5 years ago, after carrying out some work with Uncle Bob's Sovereign Self-Storage, which is now Life Storage, and developing a system for them and Storage Mart, we used that as the basis for a revenue management system that smaller and mid-sized portfolios, and even larger portfolios, can subscribe to on a monthly basis. Currently, our pricing systems are used to manage probably now about 2,500 stores, maybe even close to 3,000. So it's grown nicely over the last few years. Value pricing, which we'll be talking about today, is one of the modules of our system. We're fully integrated with multiple property management systems, meaning the data gets downloaded and uploaded automatically between our system and the property management system. What's today's focus with value pricing? Basically, what is value pricing? Just very quickly, it allows a dynamic and automated process for what I'll call good, better, and best pricing, meaning that the more convenient units that are available in a unit group can be rented out for slightly higher rates. And unlike the traditional self-storage process, which takes static divisions of the units, in other words, you look for 5 units near the elevator that are your 10 by 10s, and of all your 10 by 10s, you separate them out into a separate unit group. We now allow a much more dynamic process where we don't have to separate those units out, but we're looking at which of the 10 by 10s are available, which of the available units are the most convenient wherever they may happen to be, and allow for higher pricing on that. This slide that you're looking at just lets you know that in our full revenue management system, we have a methodology that was developed specifically for self-storage. We call it multiple signal modeling. What's important is that the system can be used by a company as small as one store, and it can be used successfully by companies with hundreds of stores. So it's a very adaptable system for a wide range of corporate sizes. If we go to the next slide, Lauren, in terms of why you as an operator should be most concerned or interested in value pricing, it comes down to the financial benefits that it will allow. Of the three modules that we have, which are for starting rate, rent increase, and value pricing alone seems to generate about 4 to 9% incremental revenue from your move-ins. And that can vary based on the design of the store and how much training you do of your store staff. But in general, it's providing a lot of incremental revenue, where upgrade rates of 30 to 35% at a store are fairly common. For some stores, it can be a little bit less than that. It might be in the 20s. Others, it's could be in the 40s. But generally, 30 to 35% are fairly common. And in the second year of using value pricing, it's not uncommon for stores with 400 or more units to be generating $2,000 a month or more in incremental revenue from value pricing. From an operations perspective, once you set up the system, it's all dynamic, all automatic. So operationally, it does not require much in the way of effort, which is a very nice feature of that part of the system. Okay. We go to the next slide. I'll just, Lauren just quickly mentioned that one of the reasons we're very, very excited about this webinar and where we are and the 3D mapping is that up until now, the benefits from value pricing, which are pretty significant, have been confined to an upgrade process that is carried out at the store. We typically introduce two higher prices for the more and most convenient units. That's the good, better, and best. But on the website, folks are only aware of the lowest standard price, if you will, and then they get introduced to those higher rates at the store. That's where the upgrade rate of 30 to 35% occurs. What the 3D mapping, the 3D value pricing map is now doing that is very significant is it is allowing the value pricing methodology, if you will, the notion that there are multiple options to be brought to the website for the first time in a very efficient, effective manner. And we're expecting that as a result of that, the benefits from value pricing will increase even more than where they are today, because customers will get introduced to the opportunity to upgrade as they are making the reservation and as they are selecting the unit, rather than first learning about that potentially at the store. So with that, Lauren, let me turn that back over to you.
Thank you so much for that, Warren. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Paul at this stage, and he's going to discuss a little bit more about the storage group and Veritec Solutions integration.
Okay, thanks, guys. So what the storage group is able to do here is pull in all that price data from Veritec and data from your property management system. What we're able to do is just create that 3D map that Warren was talking about of your facility. We can show amenities that you may have. We can show how they're positioned next to your units. Basically a layout of what you have going on at your location. I think the easiest way to think about this is if I use an example, say flight seating charts. You go onto an airline's website, you're presented with a visual of the aircraft seating plan. And when I fly, I always want a window seat, and that seating plan makes it real easy for me to identify those seats. I can see where the exits are, for example, or where cramped seats are near the back, or where the wings may obscure that perfect view that I want. It also shows me that maybe there's an upcharge for aisle seats or seats near the front. That visual on the website helps explain why there are higher prices. What are the best seats, the good seats, the better seats? And what we're doing is we're essentially doing exactly that same thing with your units. We're presenting a 3D interactive map. It's rotatable, it's zoomable, panable, so your website users get a feel for your location's layout. They can see which units are near the gate, for instance, and would have an instant understanding of why those units are perhaps a little bit more expensive. Or maybe you have multiple levels and there's a premium for rooms near the elevator. What we're able to do, it's just like that seating chart. Spell out why one unit is preferable over another. Justify your tiered pricing. Tell the user what is good, better, or best. Now, this is all in real time. It's all dynamic. It's all connected to your property management system, and it all incorporates Veritec supply and demand, that dynamic pricing that Warren was talking about. And just like the seating chart, a simple click on that map will propel the user directly into a purchase. Thank you, Lauren, you changed slides already. So our purchasing system, our online rental tool, is Click and Store. As I say, the 3D map, it's connected directly into that. It allows real-time move-ins and reservations. A little history on that. Click and Store is the first online rental tool for the storage industry, launched way back in 2011. We're now on our third version of the tool. And I think what makes this version special is its focus on the user experience. Obviously, web users nowadays are very savvy. Shop online, it's an everyday activity. People are just used to places like Amazon and how sites like that work. So we're trying to move the storage industry, at least the online presence, into that 21st century, giving all our users familiar features that they're already used to. In turn, we're also trying to give facility owners and operators some of the tricks of the trade that e-commerce sites use to increase conversions. So we have things like the Progressive Web App. A Progressive Web App is simply a hybrid between a website and a native mobile app. This allows your users to download the site directly onto their phone and open it just like they would a native application. And this is incredibly useful for users with slower phones, particularly convenient for tenants who could use it every month to pay their bill. Just one tap, they log in, and they're ready to pay their rent. For you guys, operators, means you don't have to maintain two separate things. Your website and app, they're incorporated into one. We also have, let's say if you're in a market with a lot of non-English speakers, we can translate a website into, say, Spanish. This also includes our rental tool. So any data coming from your property management system can be translated. We can also handle different currency types and feet or meters if that's your preference as well. Going back to some of the tricks of e-commerce, if a user doesn't rent on your website, doesn't get all the way through the reservation funnel of Click and Store, we don't want that to be a lost opportunity. So we can send an email to you along with some details about the tenant, their contact details, the size unit they may have been interested in. And what we're seeing is that just giving those guys a call, that'll often turn that lead into a reservation. So all these things are possible within e-commerce nowadays, and we're doing the same thing for online rentals. We've also teamed up with vendors. We have a marketplace. Your users are needing supplies, boxes, tapes. They don't need to go anywhere else. They can get them directly from the rental tool if you're using Click and Store. And the nice thing is that you get a share of that revenue. There's no inventory to manage, no delivery, no work at all. And it's a whole bunch less friction for your customers. Another thing that we have is our 3D calculator. It's another industry first. Our calculator turns everything upside down, basically. Most calculators present a series of unit sizes that the customer has to fumble through. We simply ask the customer what they need to store. And then we find the most appropriate unit from your inventory based on their requirements. And then, of course, we have the 3D map, real-time hooked into your rental tool, just like the calculator is actually. And really the point here is that everything that we're trying to do is to funnel people into the reservation process. So the 3D calculator, the unit list, the 3D value pricing map, all of those things end up at the Rent Now button. Next slide, please, Lauren. Thank you. So this is just an example of our click and store unit table. We're designing everything to help narrow the choices for the user, to get them through that decision-making process just as quickly and as frictionlessly as possible. We're taking on e-commerce paradigms here. I'm sure most of you recognize similarities between this and something like Amazon, where we've got a whole bunch of filters on the left-hand side. It makes the rental process incredibly easy, incredibly intuitive. We're not asking people to reimagine the internet. They know what is happening directly in front of them. And what we're seeing is that if you have something like e-sign enabled, someone can move into one of your rooms within minutes, just hit the rent button, fill out some details, upload a driver's license if you like, and then pay and sign the lease. And the 3D map, that becomes the beginning step of that entire process. As I say, you have a map in front of you, just like the seating chart. You click on a unit, and then you'll launch directly into that rental funnel. So the 3D map, it's a simple, intuitive interface that can differentiate your units, and it provides the visual story to your site users so they can make that informed decision. It's an interface designed to emphasize the desirability based on those features and amenities that you already have at your facility. And really, it's to increase your revenue per square foot. Next slide, please, Laura. Oh, no, sorry, I skipped a slide. Could you go back one? Thank you. So, yeah, it's a frictionless experience. The user has that power to decide the unit that they want. That increases their confidence. And it seamlessly integrates with Click and Store, meaning that we can get people to rent very quickly. As an added bonus, the user can use it post-rental to navigate around your facility. And as an added bonus, your operators can also use that map to upsell. All that information is directly available on your website. So really, this is all about the user experience. We have a whole bunch of web-savvy users coming to sites nowadays, a heavy reliance on website information, different routes through the data to that common endpoint, in our case, the rental button. And all of our products are aimed at getting people through that process. They all leverage that user experience to maximize the potential of the website. Click and Store, the 3D calculator, and now our 3D map. They all funnel people to the reservation. Obviously, it doesn't start necessarily with the website. You all know that the story starts offline at your facility with pricing and amenities, desirability, and competition. And on that note, staying competitive, I'll hand back to Warren.
Great. So what I will just maybe emphasize, and then I think we can even take questions, or Lauren, you may, I don't know if you have anything else you want to let folks know, but basically value pricing, because it is generating so much incremental revenue for each store, and because it's just a function of move-ins. In other words, it doesn't really seem to matter whether you're in a very affluent area, a non-affluent area, whether your pricing structure is tending to be lower than your competitors or higher than your competitors. The upgrade rates that we've seen across a broad spectrum of different store types is pretty uniform. Even for a single story, all drive up unit facility, we will see upgrade rates of roughly 20%. So the fact that it's enabling so much incremental revenue to be generated means that smaller and mid-sized portfolios have now another tool in their toolbox to compete with larger portfolios. And as I said, as this integration with value pricing and the website display, the 3D value pricing map, as that starts to become more and more common, we're fully expecting that the benefits and the incremental revenues from value pricing are going to be even higher than they are. And one thing maybe just to leave you with is, if you have a new store, a lease-up facility, the benefits from value pricing increase even faster than normal because you have such a big disparity between where the good units are, the better units are, and the best units are. And so it means you have a number of different pricing strategies that you can implement to compete more effectively against your competition, because you can ensure that you are price competitive on the web and then get at or even above market prices for the most convenient units in the facility. And as a result, it enables lease-up facilities to generate far more revenue, far more quickly, which is a very beneficial thing, obviously, for those operators. So with that, Lauren, do you want to take over?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Warren and Paul, for giving a wonderful top-down perspective. I want to highlight a few things before we jump off the slide, and then we're going to go through something that I think is going to be really beneficial to everyone in the attendance of the webinar today. So as Warren and Paul both went over, obviously the market, you know, when you're a smaller portfolio owner, whether you have 1 to 5 facilities and you're in an area that's kind of dominated by REITs like Public Storage and CubeSmart and Extra Space and all of that stuff, this tool we have found, as Warren and Paul have so kindly pointed out, has really helped set people apart in their respective local areas of really helping them compete against those other larger portfolios like REITs that we had just mentioned. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. So Veritec Solutions in the storage group, we have been really trying to help people understand not only the value that value pricing can genuinely bring to your business, but give a top-down perspective on what that looks like for the long term. On the 21st of November, the storage group and Veritec Solutions will be discussing how to dominate REITs with the 3D value pricing map with good, better, best pricing. We have seen such an uptake in the understanding of value pricing and what it can really do for your business and how that can, again, accelerate your ROI in the long term. In that summit that is going to be hosted by the Self Storage Show on the 21st of November, our CEO, Steve Lucas with the Storage Group, and the president of Veritec Solutions, Warren Lieberman, are going to be not only showing a demo of the 3D value pricing map, but we are going to be going over in depth how that can combat the upcoming potential recession that we've all been reading about, and how that could really help you stay competitive in your markets as a mid-size facility owner, or even if you're looking for other solutions in different areas for different things. With that being said, I highly encourage everyone to sign up for that show. I'm going to be going ahead and sending out a link, and we also have it on our respective LinkedIns. I know Warren is going to be having that on his. We're going to be having that on the storage groups, as well as our CEO, Steve Lucas. And if you have any additional questions or need a link or any information about how to get on that show for attendance, please reach out to me directly. or just, reach out to Jill Baker, our Director of Sales as well. For those of you who came on the webinar looking for a demo, we are actually doing personal demos as we speak. Our Director of Sales, Jill Baker, is available to schedule those, and when we send out a follow-up email, everybody will be getting her direct contact to schedule a free consultation for value pricing, so you can really understand how this will integrate into your current rental tool, or if you have click and store with us, what that looks like. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go on to questions. The first question I have, I'm going to go ahead and pass over to you, Paul. It is, we are currently using Click and Store 3.0. Can you show how the 3D map will look with the integration?
I think you just answered that. Personal demos?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. That was an easy one.
There we go. And then Warren, I would love you to answer the next question. The next question is, we have heard about value pricing, but how does it extend the reach of our business in terms of ROI?
Oh, okay. So for ROI, essentially, when you start implementing value pricing, it begins to work on new move-ins. So let's just pretend you are a facility with an average of 30 move-ins a month. Based on our experience, 10 of those move-ins each month on average are going to upgrade. And typically we see for the better units, we're seeing margins of, I'll say 8 to 12%. And for the best units, we're seeing margins of 18 to 22%. In some stores, it can be actually as high as 25 or 30%, but those margins are fairly common. And so the way to think about it is, if your average unit is renting for, let's say, $100 a month, on average, those 10 upgrades are going to be each paying you about $13, $14 a month more. So what happens is, as you implement value pricing for over a period of time, the folks who started renting in month 1, many of them are still renting in month 2, month 3, etc. New folks come in, they start renting the upgraded units in month 1 or month 2. They're continuing. So 6 months into the implementation, you may be generating as much as, let's call it, $400 to $600 a month incremental revenue. That is just if you add up the extra $8, $10, $12, $15 that people are paying you because they're renting more convenient units, that will total roughly somewhere between $400 to $600 typically 6 months into the program. And it just keeps escalating. So the ROI is actually, the increase in ROI is virtually immediate, but it builds up and becomes greater and greater the longer you run the program, because of the fact that people rent for multiple months.
Thank you for that, Warren. So I have another question here. It is from a Shane. Is there a website we could visit with the 3D map to see what it looks like? Thank you so much for that question. We will actually have our Director of Sales, Jill Baker, reach out to you after this webinar, and we would love to set up a demo with you so you could personally view what it looks like and what that would look like for your facility. We also have other questions here. Can the value pricing and 3D map be implemented only at my larger stores that can afford it, and leave the others on a lower package?
So at least from a value pricing perspective, value pricing is already implemented at portfolios with as few as 1 store and as many as multiple hundreds of stores. So we have seen that value pricing works regardless of the size of the portfolio. It just doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I have another question here. It says, can the 3D value pricing map be used on our existing website, or do we need to use your web platform? Paul, I'll let you go ahead and take that one.
Sure. So we integrate with a few PMSs, property management systems, as does Veritec. And that's really all the requirements that we have is as long as we can communicate with your property management system, then we can produce the map, and that map can go on pretty much any website.
And just to add to that, a lot of the information that's needed for value pricing does not need and is not maintained in the property management system. We maintain that element so that when you decide to implement value pricing, the property management system doesn't have to start adding any new fields to support that. In other words, we have everything, it's fully integrated and it works right from the get-go.
Thank you
Right,
for
and
that.
that's a good point, Warren. We don't necessarily need the information to actually display the map. If you want to push it all the way, then if you want to produce rentals, if you want to produce move-ins, that's where we need the connection. But yeah, we can put this on any website, and that includes our click install rental tool.
Okay, thank you so much for that. We have another question here, Paul, that I'm going to hand over to you. This is from Kirk. How difficult is it to create a 3D map of the property? What is needed to create the map, unit layout from CRM or security layout?
Again, that goes back to the property management system you're using. It's actually pretty simple. I would estimate that doing it from scratch, you're likely to take maybe an hour or so to produce it. We've certainly done them within that time scale.
Thank you for that. And then I have another question. How can you create value pricing with different rental rates from the same unit type? How does a CRM know the price for some units in a unit type are more expensive than a standard rate of the unit type?
So I think that may be my question. Value pricing is currently integrated with multiple property management systems, and more integrations are on the way. Depending on the specific way that the property management system is retaining rates at the unit level, our integration with the property management system and the way we provide the value pricing rates differs. So what typically happens in an implementation is we will work, that is Veritec Solutions will work with the operator and the website display company to make sure that all of the unit groupings are being done correctly, all of the prices are being done correctly. Typically over the last few years, some of the website providers have had to make what I'll call some minor changes in their coding to leverage the way the information is provided in value pricing, and a lot of that has been done over the last few years. So the questioner is correct in understanding that different PMSs store rates a little differently, and we've adapted our methods along working with the website providers to make sure that the rates can be displayed as the operator wants, and the unit groups can be displayed as the operator wants. Typically, different operators, there are differences in the way operators want to display things, and so the website providers working with us have enabled various customizations typically to allow different approaches to be taken by the operator depending on what the operator wants. And at the end of the day, that is probably the most important message, is that value pricing can work in a lot of different ways. And it's really up to you as the operator to determine which way you want it to have working for your portfolio. And then it's incumbent, and what we do is, storage group, Veritec Solutions, we make sure that we can display and provide the prices in the manner that works appropriately for you.
Thank you for that, Warren. We have another question here, and I feel capable to answer this one, but it's from Kirk again. It says, does click and store interface with SiteLink? The answer is yes. And Paul, I'll let you elaborate on that because we do integrate with other PMSs as well.
We do. We certainly integrate with SiteLink very thoroughly, right from reservations all the way through to the move-in process, and including e-sign. So, as I said a little earlier, someone could potentially, if you wanted them to, book a unit at 9 o'clock at night and potentially be moving into that unit at 9:30. We also have payments, monthly payments that the user can go to, insurance discounts. Yeah, we're fully integrated with SiteLink on click and store, and that includes the calculator and the 3D map. So all three of these things, the unit table, the 3D map, the calculator, they all start to funnel people, as I said earlier, into that rental process. So short answer is yes, certainly.
Thank you for that. I think that's it. We have a few more questions, but I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We've went a little bit over time here. Thank you both, Warren and Paul, for sharing your insight on this product that's really going to help a lot of facility owners just accelerate their business and understand how this can really impact it in a longer period of time. Again, I want to go back to the Self-Storage Summit, just a quick reminder, and I will go back to that screen really quick if you guys want to screenshot it, and we will be sending it in an email after this webinar is over as well. Myself and our marketing specialist, Laura Gaddis, are going to try and get that email out to everyone who is on this webinar today, if not tomorrow at the latest. But if you would like to join our webinar at the Self-Storage Show Summit, that would be wonderful. It's going to be on how to dominate REITs with the 3D value pricing map with good, better, best pricing. Dr. Warren Lieberman is going to be on that, and then our CEO, Steve Lucas, is going to be presenting on that as well. And then we will also be sending in a recording of the webinar when this is over too. I highly encourage anybody that is in interest of viewing the 3D value pricing map before the 21st of November to please reach out to us at the email that you see on the screen. You can also reach out on the email that we're going to send from the follow-up to our Director of Sales, Jill Baker. She would be more than happy to schedule a personal consultation with you and your team if you are interested in seeing an actual demo of the 3D value pricing map. I want to thank everyone again for their time today. We so appreciate you, and we will catch you again soon with more stuff on value pricing. Thanks, Warren and Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.